There is a truth almost nobody talks about in this country. Two Singaporeans can earn the exact same salary their entire working life, retire on the same day, and end up living in two completely different worlds. One spends their 70s checking the price of vegetables at the wet market before deciding what goes in the basket. The other spends their 70s booking a business class trip to Japan and helping their grandchildren with a down payment on their first flat. And the wildest part is, the difference almost never comes down to luck, inheritance, or a lucky stock pick. It comes down to a handful of habits most people miss in their 30s, 40s, and 50s. So, if you have ever wondered whether you are actually on track or just hoping things will somehow work out, stay with me, because I am about to walk you through 6 signs that you are heading toward a wealthy retirement, even if your bank balance does not look impressive yet. The first sign is the one that sounds almost too simple to matter, but it separates wealthy retirees from struggling ones more than anything else. You actually know your numbers. Not vaguely, not I think I have some CPF somewhere. You know your ordinary account balance, your special account balance, what is sitting in your retirement account, your monthly spending, and roughly what you will need to retire comfortably. Here is a fact that should wake you up. In 2026, the CPF basic retirement sum sits at $110,200, the full retirement sum at $220,400, and the enhanced retirement sum at $440,800. Hit only the basic sum and your CPF life payout lands around $950 a month for life. Hit the full retirement sum and that climbs to roughly $1,780 a month. Hit the enhanced sum and you are looking at somewhere between $3,180 and $3,410 a month, guaranteed for as long as you live. Now here is the uncomfortable part. According to the Ministry of Manpower's own figures, only about 7 in 10 Singaporeans who manage to reach the basic retirement sum go on to actually hit the full retirement sum. And among the broader group turning 55, roughly a third have not set aside even the full retirement sum across cash and property combined. Most people do not realize they are behind until they are 5 years out from retirement, and by then, the maths simply does not work in their favor anymore. The future wealthy retiree saw this gap years ago and started doing something about it. They log into their CPF account through SingPass at least twice a year. They know exactly how their ordinary account, special account, and Medisave are split, and they understand what each dollar is actually doing for them. If you can name your current retirement account balance right now, within a few $1,000s, and you know your monthly expenses without opening an app, you are already ahead of most Singaporeans your age. The second sign is that you treat your CPF like a business you are actively running, not a black box your employer feeds money into. Most Singaporeans set and forget. Money goes in every month and they never look at where it sits or what it could be doing for them. Meanwhile, the future wealthy retiree is doing something specific. They are using the Retirement Sum Topping Up Scheme, known as RSTU, to voluntarily top up their own special or retirement account. Here is why this matters so much. A cash top-up to your own account earns you up to $8,000 in tax relief every single year. Top up a loved one's account as well, your parents, your spouse, and you can claim another $8,000 in relief, for a combined $16,000 in tax savings annually. That money does not just sit there either. It earns a guaranteed floor interest rate of 4% per year, compounded. There is also a detail almost nobody acts on. If you top up earlier in the year, rather than waiting until December, you can earn up to 20% more interest over a 10-year horizon, purely because compounding has more time to work. The data backs this up starkly. Most Singaporeans who are eligible to top up their CPF accounts simply never do it, leaving real money on the table every single year, while the people who actually read the fine print quietly compound their way to a far stronger retirement. And from the 1st of January 2026, the ordinary wage ceiling rose to $8,000 a month, the final step in a 4-year phased increase. If your salary sits above that mark, more of your income now automatically flows into CPF than it did a year ago. The wealthy retiree treats that shift as an automatic savings increase. Most people barely notice their payslip changed. The third sign is that you live below your means without it feeling like punishment. Wealthy retirees lock in a lifestyle they can genuinely afford in their 20s or 30s, then let their income grow past it for the rest of their working life. When they get a pay rise, instead of upgrading the car or chasing a bigger condo, they upgrade their investments. Instead of stretching into a larger mortgage, they accelerate paying down the one they already have. If you earn $90,000 a year today and get a 3% raise annually, you will bring home over $200,000 in extra income across the next 20 years. Most Singaporeans will absorb every dollar of that into a bigger flat, a nicer car, complete with an eye-watering certificate of entitlement bill, and more expensive weekends. The wealthy retiree diverts half of every raise straight into CPF top-ups or investments outside it, and by 60, they are sitting on a portfolio their younger self would have called impossible. The fourth sign is that you own appreciating assets, not just a paid-off flat and a depreciating car. Most Singaporeans work 40 years, earn well over $1 million across their career, and end up with a fully paid HDB flat, a car that loses value every year they own it, and not much else sitting outside their CPF. The wealthy retiree owns things that grow in value while they sleep. The STI ETF, which tracks Singapore's 30 largest listed companies, has returned roughly 8.1% annually since it launched in 2002, with total historical returns, including dividends, sitting between 5 and 7% a year. Singapore REITs add another income stream entirely, paying out regular distributions from rental income across malls, offices, and industrial properties. And here is something that makes Singapore genuinely unusual in the world. There is no capital gains tax here. None. If you buy units in an ETF at $3 and sell 5 years later at $4.50, every cent of that gain is yours to keep. Compare that to a certificate of entitlement-backed vehicle, which can easily cost over $100,000 before you have even paid for the car itself, and which loses a meaningful chunk of its value the moment you drive it off the lot. $10,000 invested at a steady 7% return becomes close to $87,000 after 10 years. The same $10,000 sunk into vehicle depreciation simply disappears. You do not need to be a stock picker or a property mogul. You just need more of your money sitting in things that go up and less sitting in things that go down. The fifth sign is that you have made peace with debt instead of running from it or drowning in it. Wealthy retirees are not anti-debt. They are anti-stupid debt. They will happily take an HDB loan at around 2.6% or a private mortgage to buy a flat or an investment property because that debt is attached to an asset that historically appreciates. What they will not do is carry a rolling credit card balance. And this is where Singapore has a genuinely alarming trend hiding in plain sight. Credit card rollover debt. The unpaid balances that get carried from 1 month into the next hit $9.07 billion in the third quarter of 2025. That is the highest level recorded in over a decade, last seen back in 2014. It has nearly doubled since the second quarter of 2021, and the average interest rate on that debt sits between 25 and 29% a year, with some banks charging close to 31% once you miss a payment. Buy now, pay later services are widely cited as part of what is driving this rise, quietly encouraging people to spend beyond what their bank account can comfortably absorb. The wealthy retiree has a simple filter. If the debt is attached to something that makes them richer over time, it stays. If it is funding a depreciating purchase or a lifestyle they cannot actually afford, it goes, and it goes fast. They pay off the highest interest debts first, they avoid the buy now, pay later trap entirely, and they enter retirement either completely debt-free or carrying only manageable, productive debt. There is a hidden cost to bad debt that nobody puts a number on too. It is not just the interest. It is the quiet anxiety that follows every financial decision after that, the kind that eats away at sleep and focus for years. The sixth sign is the one almost nobody talks about, but it might be the most important of all. You think long-term. The struggling retiree spent their working years thinking about Friday night, the next bonus, and the next holiday. The wealthy retiree spent those same years thinking about where they would be at 60, 70, and 80. They started topping up their CPF early instead of waiting for a year when they supposedly had more spare cash. They opened a supplementary retirement scheme account in their 30s, contributing toward the $15,300 annual cap for citizens and permanent residents, locking in a tax deduction year after year while their investments compounded quietly inside it. They chose a partner who shared their values around money, which turns out to matter more than almost any single financial decision either of them makes alone. And they protected their downside, which most people completely forget to do. They held an emergency fund of 3 to 6 months of expenses, Exactly what Money Sense, Singapore's own financial education authority, recommends. They kept basic insurance coverage in place, and they made absolutely sure that one bad year, a job loss, a health scare, a market downturn, could never undo 20 good ones. Wealth in retirement is not built in the final 5 years before you stop working. It is built in the 30 years before that, in 1,000 small decisions nobody else ever notices. Checking your CPF statement instead of ignoring it. Topping up in January instead of putting it off until December. Choosing the ETF over the upgraded car. Paying off the credit card in full instead of letting it roll over at 27%. None of these 6 signs require you to earn an extraordinary salary or get lucky with a single investment. They simply require you to start treating your future the way you already treat the things you actually care about, with attention, consistency, and a plan you check on regularly instead of one you hope is working in the background. If this video gave you a wake-up call or a confidence boost, do me a favor and hit the like button. And if you are not subscribed yet, now is the time. I will see you in the next one.